Welcome to the Great Reboot. I'm Tori Ryden. Virtual high school proms and now virtual high school graduations. COVID-19 has forced all of us to get pretty creative and has transformed the look and the feel of what it's like to be a senior in high school. Just today, former First Lady Michelle Obama announced that she will be taking part in an MTV Promathon, a nationwide prom experience for the entire class of 2020. She wants those seniors whose proms and graduations have been canceled to still feel celebrated. That promathon will take place on Friday, May 22nd at 9 p.m. on MTV YouTube. Our guests are three high school seniors from all over the country. Sarah Walter is graduating from Franklin High School in Elk Grove, California. Sarah Linenger is graduating from Winston Churchill High School in Potomac, Maryland, and John Matlosz is graduating from Sanford High School in Sanford, Maine. And I want to welcome all of you to the Great Reboot. Good to have all of you here. I'd like to get your reaction, and I want to get it from all three of you, to the news about the MTV Promathon. I mean, it's kind of a cool idea. I've never seen anything like this before. I want to start, though, let's start this time with California-based Sarah. Sarah, is that something that anybody would even take part in where you are? And have you all done any kind of virtual proms already?
I think it's definitely something that I'd consider taking part in. I did, and my friends did the virtual prom with John Krasinski DJing, and that was a lot of fun too. So this would definitely be a cool thing to do with my friends.
Well, anything with John Krasinski would be totally cool to do, right?
Right.
Sarah, what about you in Maryland? What's the feel there? And have you guys had any virtual proms?
We really haven't done anything at all.
And you must be thinking, what the heck? I mean, other places are doing things. So is this something that you might like to take part in, this Obama-inspired promathon?
I mean, yeah, I think if it's being offered, I would love to take part in it.
It's kind of cool to think about, other people really understanding, or at least trying to understand what you guys are going through. It's got to be hard. I would imagine what you're feeling is kind of not knowing. It's like, what's the plan when you thought you had a plan ahead of you? John, what about you? I mean, I'm not sure. Are you into the prom? And is that something that you'd consider taking part in?
Well, I was actually going to skip out on prom this year anyways, but I don't think a virtual prom would be for me because of the fact that it's one of those physical events you need to be at. I mean, if they were to make it like a game server, maybe I would join.
Well, everybody has, some people like the prom, some people don't. And so that's definitely, that's one of those things that is absolutely all-American, true blue high school experience for sure. I'm wondering what it's been like for you to be going through this quarantine. And, what's coming out is that people are starting to understand. Therapists are saying it's really hard for your age group in particular. And I'd love for you to share your thoughts on this. Are you worried about your friends? There are people going through some pretty dark times. I see you nodding your head, Sarah. Let's start with you.
Yeah, it's definitely, I know it's been really hard for a lot of my friends and myself too, because it's very disappointing, but we're pushing through and hopefully we'll be able to go to college in the fall.
Sarah Linenger, what about you? What are you hearing from your friends? And have you kept a pretty close network of, your friends FaceTiming? And, I imagine you don't Zoom with your friends. Maybe you do, but, are you guys doing a lot of Instagramming? And what's going on with that?
I mean, we text almost every day, but it's still not the same as seeing them. A lot of them are definitely struggling to get through it. I know I am too. Because, we go through all of high school looking forward to these events. And there's even like smaller events like senior breakfast and senior banquet that we're going to miss too. And it's just all taken away from you and there's nothing you can do about it.
John, have you had a chance to see any of your friends? I mean, we're all practicing social distancing and all that, but what have you done with your friends, kind of to check in?
Well, if I'm not violating the social distancing, we typically, since I'm quite the gamer enthusiast, I mostly spend my hours playing video games with my friends over the network, be it whatever game that we decide to play that day. And I've actually created a guild for us to all be a part of, and it's actually worked on keeping us all connected, because every day everyone's logging in, putting their hours in with each other, and we get spend every day like that.
What's it like, Sarah, out in California right now? What are you seeing, and what are your friends kind of talking about as far as starting to move outside and starting to do, more, and starting to maybe kind of make plans?
Right. A lot of my friends we've been planning, like, we'll go to drive-throughs at the same time so we could possibly see each other, or we hang out in parking lots and try to talk to each other through our cars. So I'm lucky because it's sunny outside, so we get to hang out outside, and I swim in the pool with my family, so.
Yeah, that's pretty lucky. It sounds like a vacation. Then for other people. And I'm wondering, Sarah Linenger, I mean, I know you've been involved, you were pretty involved or have been really involved in school. What are you missing most about school right now?
Everything. I miss seeing my teachers. I miss all the events I was going to be a part of that I don't get to be a part of anymore. I miss my friends. I miss just being there.
Did you have special plans, Sarah, for graduation ceremonies? Were you going to be part of that?
Yeah, all of my family was going to come in town and visit, and we were going to have a big celebration. And some of my friends were going to have parties, and none of that's happening.
John, have you heard yet what's happening with your school? Are you doing a virtual graduation, or are they pushing it off until another day?
I know ideas have been tossed around. I'm pretty sure the most recent idea is going to be like a drive-through, pick up your degree, because we have this long drive-through of the school that you can practically fit the entire student body in.
It's a totally different scenario than any of you could have mapped out. What are your plans? I'd love to hear kind of what your plans are for next year. And then, are you worried about college not even starting? Where do things stand with you, Sarah, in California?
So I'm actually going to Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana next year, hopefully. And I know that the college has been talking about at least bringing some of us back. And I'm an acting major, so it would be kind of weird to do classes online. So I'm hoping that I'm one of the groups that gets invited back.
So Sarah Lininger, what about you? Where are you planning to go, and what have you heard so far from that college?
I'm planning to go to Ohio University, and so far they've been pretty positive about trying to reopen in the fall. So that's been something to keep me going and something to look forward to.
And what are you planning on studying? Do you know yet?
I want to be an English teacher, so I'm studying English education.
And John, I understand you had kind of a couple of ideas of places where you might be wanting to go. Are you leaning toward one over another?
Well, since that whole bunch of confusing times, I'm now heading off to Maine Maritime Academy in Castine, Maine for power engineering in the fall. And they have not notified us on what the plans will be if it's pushed back.
And I would imagine, since it's a military related school, you might actually still go, perhaps.
Perhaps, but it's still a small town, and we have a lot of people coming from outside the state to go there because it's such a wonderful school on the coast.
What is so far what you're kind of hearing on the media and the news? What are they getting wrong, or what are they missing that you guys are seeing that you wish you could kind of get out there? Like, what's going on in your age groups that no one's talking about?
No one's really talked about, like, they've all talked about how disappointing it is for us, but not the opportunities that are coming out of this. Like, my friend started an online theater community where people can post videos and kind of get involved and be seen by agents that way. So that's been kind of a good opportunity.
I mean, that's a total shift and kind of what our show is all about, which is the great reboot, finding different ways, making lemonade out of lemons, right? As they say.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What about you, Sarah?
I feel like I know a lot of people are trying to like do different versions of different events and stuff, but I feel like for me personally, it's at least almost worse because you see everything you're missing and you're just reminded of what you could be doing and you're not. And I feel like they're focusing on, oh, this is great, they're doing virtual prom, virtual graduation, but I feel like it's not good.
It's hard to not want to hold on to what you really wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, bottom line, it's going to be different, right? Sometimes it's hard to rally around that. What about you, John? What are adults missing? What are people just not seeing or talking about?
Sorry to put the sad note on this topic, but what comes to my mind typically is the amount of suicide attempts from several generations. I don't watch the news that often, so I don't know if they're covering that, but the suicide attempts are higher thanks to the quarantine because you're left more alone with your thoughts.
I think that has been something that's getting a lot of attention, and trying to help people to identify the warning signs, not just among kids but adults as well. And it's a dark time, and it is that fear of the unknown. Where are we? Where are we going? And I think some people really have a hard time with that, which brings back how important it is for friends to check in on one another, and to pay attention. Have you, John, I just want to kind of continue with you on that for a second. Have you thought about friends who you worry about along those lines? Has that kind of brought that up in your own mind, thinking, I need to call that person?
Yes, I've had friends talking about the depression about this time, but I'm pretty sure I'm the one that is suffering the most out of my friend group.
Really? And have you been talking to anyone and getting any help at all?
Yes, I have a therapist, and after creating a guild, I make sure that I'm social every day.
We just finished an interview with a woman who does equine therapy, and it's working with horses. And apparently that's amazing. Is that something you might be interested in? Because we could connect you.
Thank you, but no, thank you. Horses don't like me. Just saying that now. They see me, they kick me, apparently.
Well, I actually brought that up because I'm a little bit afraid of horses myself, and I brought that up with her, and she said that she works with people very closely on what to do, what not to do. And I think that you would find it, going through a course like that might be really helpful and reassuring.
See, I would take up on the offer, but I have 2 dogs right here.
Okay, all right.
So.
Well, what do you think of when you hear John say that? Have you all had friends who are talking, along these lines too?
Yeah, I definitely. It's been kind of scary a bit because it's kind of touch and go, especially because like something could happen and I'll be working on my schoolwork and suddenly I'll get a bunch of texts and then I'll start freaking out because they're freaking out, and it's stressful and really it's scary, I guess.
Yeah, I would say so. What about you, Sarah Linenger?
I feel like we're all just kind of like feeling the same things and just trying to help each other get through it.
You know, it's a place and time in history, and it's hard. You know, there's no playbook, there's no blueprint to get anybody through this, and I think that's a pretty tough place to be. So, what are you going to do this summer? Do you have any plans? Are there online programs or anything that you can be doing to prepare for college? You're both saying that you're all looking like, nope, we haven't heard a thing. Oh, John, go ahead.
Wondering who's supposed to talk first is really the question.
Go right ahead, John.
Well, I'm wondering whether I should enroll in online courses enlisted by several of the college programs. After all, there are colleges offering free programs since they're community colleges. And personally, I think I'm actually going to pick up another 2 jobs on my list because I need to make money for college since it is a private school. I need about $4,000 more.
Yeah, and it sounds though that what you just said though about the courses. I think that's a great idea. If you saw something that was really interesting, it might be really good for you. And I say that for all of you. What about Sarah Linenger? What about you?
Well, I usually work at a daycare over the summer, so I'm just kind of waiting to like see if they're going to reopen or if they're going to stay closed.
So playing the waiting game.
Yes.
Yeah. And what about you, Sarah, Walter? Is there anything that you've done to kind of shift or that you're looking at doing this summer to fill your time?
So my conservatory actually got approved to continue our classes through the summer. So I'm kind of excited for that because they're going to bring in a lot of alumni who are working in the field and give us some master classes. So I'm really excited for that.
Wow, that sounds like a very good idea. That'll keep you really busy.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah Linenger, have you done anything, kind of started any kind of new things that you've never done before, like, learn a new language or, go on like Duolingo or pick up art? Is there anything that you've been doing, like dabbling in, that this time has given you a chance to do?
Honestly, no. I'm not one of those people who's coming up with new hobbies and doing all these amazing things. I'm just trying to make it through.
Trying to make it through. Well, that takes a lot of energy, actually. What about you, John?
I mean, I've picked up old habits that I haven't invested in a long time. Playing guitar, practicing shooting, and doing more research into subjects. After all, my bookcase over there is still about 82 history books.
Wow.
Mostly from the library when they got rid of them.
Well, you've got your time. You've got a little bit of time. I guess you can be poring over those books. Buff up for Maine Maritime Academy.
Sadly, my career choice doesn't invest in any World War II history, so I would be missing out.
So I want to, before we finish here, I would love for each of you to go around and give some advice to other high school seniors. What can you share with them that might kind of, lift them up or, just to help them? I'm just a couple of words and from each of you. Sarah, Walter, let's start with you.
I would say we can do this. Just keep pushing through.
Sarah Linenger?
Just take it day by day.
And John, Matlosz.
I would have to say, out of the quotes of Joshua Graham, the fire inside you can burn brighter than the fire around you.
I love it. I love all of your quotes. I just want to say congratulations. I know this is a real bummer of a time, but I just did hear some really great news. And if you're into donuts, you're going to love this news. Krispy Kreme is offering a dozen free donuts to all graduating high school seniors on May 19th. And you show up and you're either wearing your cap and gown or you're wearing a a ring that shows that you're 2020, or a shirt or something that says class of 2020. So people are trying to come up with ways to rally around you, and I hope you all can keep your spirits high. It is going to come to an end, and I hope that you can just find fun things to do in the meantime. So Sarah, John, thank you so much for joining us here on The Great Reboot.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.